Hello and welcome to New Meta episode 29. Today I'm joined by the two usual suspects, Marco and Adam, here to discuss some funky fours. Four funky fours, all the alliteration to get a podcast into the realms of super status. Already name dropped my two co-host Marco and Adam. Welcome, Marco. How are you doing?
Hello. I am doing very well. I am a bit sad, given I don't know how invested the listeners are into our lives, but I'm pretty
extremely
sad. I mean, they best be, yeah.
Yeah.
No longer podding next to the magic host Stan anymore. So it feels bad.
I know, right? This is the first pod. Well, this is the first pod out of the boot camp, the DotA boot camp that was our apartment, but also first pod out. Rip a cave. No more caves. I'm no longer draping myself in blankets to create less of an echo, or at least not yet.
That's feels bad.
Yeah.
At least I don't have to edit out the echo of my mic picking up you speaking in the same room. That's the one upside. But yeah, in general, it's definitely a bit of a feels bad. A new era of podding, at least for the time being.
Indeed.
Yeah. Adam, welcome to the pod for ep 29.
29, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be 29 in a couple weeks.
Yes, I was going to say.
Man, maybe we should have just delayed. We should have just gone on hiatus for 2 weeks and then come back for
pod.
Yeah, the birthday pod. But yeah, to be fair, this sort of transitions into how have our games been going. The topic of this pod is somewhat inspired by your recent games. You're like playing 4 now pretty much, right? Mostly POS 4 player.
A lot of the time, yeah. Actually, I've had a pretty sick weekend of Dota.
Cool.
I am 10-0 on the weekend.
What?
I have predicted every game, so I have a 10 streak active.
Crazy.
I played every position except for 3. Also, looking back at all these, so very fun weekend.
Were these like party games?
Party games. Well, only one solo game.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. 10-0.
10-0.
That's like, yeah, you see those people. That's almost Reddit thread worthy of just like a picture post of like green gaming. And
I took a screenshot. I took a screenshot when I had 8, so I could get the greens.
the full banner. Yeah.
Played mid Medusa, safe lane monkey, mid Alk, 4 Grimstroke, 5 Warlock, 5 Ancient Apparition, mid Luna magic build, mid Shadow Fiend, 1 position Underlord, and then 1 position Spec.
Wow, that's some versatility right there. Versatility off the chain. Mid Medusa is one of those heroes that I see someone win with it and I'm like, wow, I didn't realise such a free win hero existed. And then I try and do it myself and it's just a disaster. So
you just like farm so fast.
Yeah, yeah. Pull the camps together. That's one of those, you know, when you start killing one camp and you like drag it to a spot where your split shot is killing 2 camps at the same time. Mm-hmm. That's one of the few moments where you just feel like RTZ for a bit. You're like, cool.
Or you barely have any mana and you pull like the blue white Satyr camp close to like I don't know, any other camp.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just say like centaurs or golems and you throw it and you have full mana again from the snake. That's
when you farm 2 camps like that, and then when you have aggroed them, you also get 2 stacks. That's when you feel like RTZ.
Yeah. That's the like. You're almost tweeting at RTZ with that clip, honestly.
Yeah.
If I ever pulled that off, I mean that would be astonishing.
There was one time where I got a triple stack. Like I stacked 3 camps as once with Alchemist.
Ooh, is that
on the Dire from Dire mid lane? You know, that medium camp. I guess the 2 hard camps in the medium camp. That triangle I stacked. It was pretty pog.
That's very pog. Just with what acid spray?
Acid and then like pulling the other one. I guess, and just I had cut a lot of trees.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, nice. It used to be relatively easy to triple stack in the DotA triangle on the right side with the Ancients. You used to be able to quite comfortably pull the Ancients at 52, then the medium camp at whatever 54, the one to the left. And then if you had any kind of ranged spell, you could just aggro the other one as well. But because of the way they've changed the Ancients now, I think it's harder. Yeah, triple stack. That's some real stuff right there.
Especially as an alk.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I feel like the use of illusion runes to stack jungle camps is grossly underdone.
I love it.
That's a value kind of play. If you can do that for yourself, if you're like in the mid lane and you get that illusion rune, get some stacks, that's juicy right there.
That's one of those. When that happens to me and I think to stack with them, I always will bind one illusion to one hotkey, one to the other, and then I'll be half eyes on the clock, half eyes on the hero. It gets to like 52 and you're like, right, at least I'm not some macro APM god, so I'll usually move my main hero like back a little bit out of the lane and then just try and orchestrate a double pull with two illusions, but always seem to manage to mess up one of them usually. But yeah, for sure. Stacking with illusion runes, that's 200 IQ play. Marco, I would ask how your games have been, but I mean, we talked about our send-off for the apartment. Didn't quite go to plan in terms of the last couple of games. Did we end on like a 2-loss streak or something?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I just remembered we all were in the last game, weren't we? The game where the Cloud9.
Yeah, Marco was. I think he was just upset that he was having to move out, so he lost his head in the game.
Yeah, that's definitely it. I died 7. So I'm looking at my Dota buff now. I died 7 times on QoP, and literally every death was entirely avoidable. Oh man.
That was the last game I lost. Actually, it was that was Grimstroke, right? And that was the Cloud9 game where you guys chased a Slark, and they just came in and
killed that was such a funny way to lose a game in retrospect.
Level 25 Lycan.
So funny. And it's funny as well because we killed the Lycan, and then who's the roll 2 if you like that game. Then we're chasing the Slark, the roll 1, and then as this what's that, Lenny Hill or something chase is going on. Don't know, can't remember the right name. Benny Hill. Then the enemy supports just waddle up mid lane with the creep, like do and start hitting our throne with like no attack speed, just like chipping away with little pickaxes, and then we're chasing for so long that we then lose. God.
Yeah,
it's not like we got rat. It's not like a TB suddenly appeared and we're like, oh, we're extra idiots. It's like, oh, what appeared at our throne? Like a disruptor. It was like right clicking our throne to death. Like, so bad.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's one of those where we're attacking their base and then we realise we need to get out because they're respawning, and all 4 heroes. Only Adam doesn't, and 4 heroes just TP to kill this Lycan. So then every hero, basically, apart from our Grimstroke, just doesn't have a TP. So
yeah, and then so to visualize it for the listeners, we're Dire. We kill Lycan at our bottom tier 2. That's a fantastic, amazing kill. But then proceed to chase Slark.
Because he bought back, I think.
Yeah, he bought back
this as well. He beats or travelled in. But then we chased the Slark from that bottom tier 2 Dire all the way down to Radiant.
To where
tier
their
1.
tier 2 would be.
Oh, they're nearly to tier 2 Radiant, like big L shape. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and Slark was like juking into the trees and stuff, and he was like, just give me vision, just give me vision, just give me vision. And I'm like a Sven, like running into trees.
Yeah.
While like disruptors just waddling into our base, yeah.
It's definition headless chickens.
Yeah. It was so unfortunate as well, because we were probably stronger than them by that point in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, regardless. So yeah, today's ep, Funky Fours. The first hero we're going to be talking about is Axe, and we actually name-checked the Axe position 4 in the last episode when we were covering the 7.22c changes when they increased his movement speed by 10. I actually I know Adam's been playing a bit of Axe 4, and I've been in a couple of those games. I also just checked out another Axe 4 game. Seems to me pretty legit and certainly worth talking about. So hence why we're starting with the Axe. I mean, I guess start with what makes this hero work as a 4. Adam, you've been playing him. What stands out to you about the Axe 4? Just what you can do?
Yeah. I think he's really strong in certain lanes. That you just can't be punished, especially at rune fights. At the minute 0 rune fight, I think you can't be beat.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a lot of really weak level 1 support heroes, and you just go Stout Shield and Orb of Venom, and then like 1 set of Tangos. And I think you're around 308 move speed with the 10 move speed buff, and you just run at people. And whoever you throw Battle Hunger on, you just punch them over and over and over again. And I think I know some numbers exactly. In one matchup, it was Bane and Axe. And if you Battle Hunger a Bane, you have 70 move speed on him because it slows him and it speeds you up. And then when you punch him, you have even more of a move speed advantage. And even if he brain saps you, like level 1 brain sap's pretty weak, and you just bop people with an axe over and over again.
Yeah. Reminds me a little bit of back in the day when Ursa 4 was really popular, and you just get an Orb of Venom and just run at someone. You just like right click, hands off keyboards, get first blood at the runes. Similar sort of deal, I suppose, but press the W on them first and then hands off keyboard. Just
and then like
face.
In the Bane lane, I didn't even let him come to the lane because you can't aggro the first wave. So I just stood between him and the tier 1 tower, and he just couldn't get to the wave because I was just going to punch him over and over again. And then the other lane I did it was against a Shadow Shaman, and he was level 1 at 4.5 minutes. Just off of like me zoning him off of the wave and just killing him. I mean, that's not to say like I was not level 1 as well. Then that would be really bad. But I was like level 3 or 4, and he was level 1. So there's a lot of like heroes who just they can't deal with someone that tanky. You have really nice regen already, like base regen, not like Nyx level, but pretty good. You don't need more than 3 tangos to start off with. Yeah. And you just punch.
What heroes or lanes have you had the most trouble when you've played Axe? Because given you've played a few or a handful of games.
I haven't had any trouble yet. That's what I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
There are some heroes that, because you want to be able to use your Battle Hunger, right? So if they are really good at last hitting, it's not the best. Like I've destroyed a Drow. That wasn't bad. I imagine like a TB would be pretty tough because he can just right click and get rid of the Battle Hunger. But for the most part, you're just trying to kill the you're getting rid of the support.
I wonder what an Oracle would be like. Can Oracle dispel Battle Hunger?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
that
Oracle...
would be...
That's a nice counter.
I mean, he's weak. Like he's not very... Besides that, it's not too bad. Like you can just punch him.
Yeah. I
guess, and the root spell has a long cooldown early, but it's like even a hero, Shadow Shaman and Lion, those are 2 stun heroes, and it's like I don't care. The stuns are so short early that you just like
tank a stun,
catch up and then punch, and then you can like do tower glyphs or like a wave glyphs under tower, and then once you have like levels and spin. It doesn't matter that you're tanking because you're like hopefully spinning on top of them as you're running at them.
What's the skill build that you go?
I've gone like at level 4, I've had like 1-1-2. I've also had 1-2-1 or like, yeah, pretty much those 2. I've tried to have 2 levels in Battle Hunger before. And I don't know if it's necessarily needed. You still get the move speed buff. The damage is kind of negligible to like buff it. I mean, it's really strong at level 4, but then you'd have to put 4 points in that at 7, and I don't think that's what you want to do with a 4-axe. I think you want to either have a lot of points in your spin so you can be aggressive / farm your blink, or you want to start getting levels in call so that you can be the CC that your team needs.
Yeah, I think by 5 having 2 in Battle Hunger is sufficient, because then after that, so DPS goes from 16, 24, 32, 40. So that value point of going level 1 to 2, you get this 50% increase, but then it's like going 24 to 32 DPS. Yeah, I don't think that's good enough. You do want to like diversify damage of the axe across Helix and Battle Hunger. So yeah, I could get behind 1, 2, 2 at level 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking 1, 2, 2 as well.
I've had a couple games where I've gotten. I only went Tranquils 1 game. Most of the time, I just get the brown boots, and then I get like a blink at around 11, which is pretty good.
That's very.
That's how the games
good,
have been. The games have been very good from that standpoint. Other times, the game that we played with it was still a really good lane, but I just didn't think I was going to get the blink that fast. I needed to be a little more active and wasn't maybe getting the last hits. I think it was mostly going to Greeny on the Night Stalker getting the hero kills. So then I went like Tranquils and Drums and just tried to be really fast. And that's kind of doing the same thing as a blink. You can like run at people and catch up and call.
And in the post-laning stage, have you had much variance in the sort of time you're picking up your blink? Do you feel like how dependent is the hero on getting an early blink?
I don't think it depends on the opponent.
Yeah, so you can get away with doing the Tranquil Drum, you think is okay?
Yeah, especially
sometimes.
if you have someone like a Night Stalker. I mean, they can void slow people and just get on top, and then you just follow up. Or who else did we have in that game? Who are you guys? I can't click on the.
I'll find
I
out.
was a Sven and Stan was
Yeah,
Lina.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was like we had lots of stun. It wasn't necessary that if you have a Stormhammer, it's pretty trivial to follow up with anything.
Yeah. Also, there are certain cases where the blink is going to be major value, like the enemy team's got some big push heroes or illusion heroes where there's major value from getting this like big call and spins from lots of units, as opposed to like some other ones where, like you say you're the aggressive team and Barnell's running in first. You don't really need to blink, follow up. You just run in, follow.
Yeah,
instead.
I'm sure there's some lineups where you are the initiation on the team. So it'd be much more important to get the blink as fast as possible. As the 4, I really don't think you do the Vanguard first type stuff. You know, you have to you go like boots. Hopefully you get first blood and you get boots really early, and then the game's like the lane's super hard for the other team. But then you try and prioritize that blink because you're trying to be active. Yeah.
Hopefully you'll have a position 3 that's more in the kind of role in the game where they might consider a Vanguard, and you're just there to do position 4 things.
I've definitely got a Crimson Guard later and been the person to do that, but it's too much downtime to go Vanguard first for what this hero is trying to do as a 4.
Yeah, definitely. You say you don't do the Vanguard thing. How about doing Blade Mail after you've got the blink, or as a 4-axe,
I've done that
more towards Crimson?
I kind of like. Sometimes I really like the Blade Mail. Just depends on the game. Some heroes can really destroy themselves on it.
Yeah, true.
There's been other times I've gone like Drum, or I've gone like Vlad's, or I know I did that in the game with you guys. I went Vlad's or Force Staff.
Yeah, it's got lots
or
of
something. He can do anything really.
Yeah, it definitely can do a lot of things, and it will nearly always just be dependent on the enemy heroes and your own heroes a little bit. But it is nice that you've got a blink, and then you could definitely get an array of items after that, like Force Staff, Vlad's Blade Mail, Straight Crimson, etc.
Yeah, I mean, how much does the 4-axe just turn into a 3-axe? Like after the laning stage, once you've got blink, your item choices and stuff are not really that different, is it? It's just as game dependent as if you would be a 3-axe. Like what items you want to go towards, really.
Yes.
Yeah. But you're not taking time to farm, really. I mean, you'll hit jungle camps as you're walking around the map and stuff, or maybe you're shoving out a wave, solo from the rest of the team. But most of the time, I think you want to be active and try and stuff.
Yeah. I'd say it's important to be careful not to lapse into the mindset of, oh, I'm playing axe, therefore I'll play like a position 3 axe in the sense of farm priority and accruing gold, when actually, if you're playing it in this agreed 4 role, that should be less of a priority, and it should be more, okay, given I've pushed out some lanes, can I be active, or can I be like waiting for a gank or helping a gank happen?
Yeah, no, that's a good point to make for sure. Speaking of, well, go ahead, go on.
Oh, I was just saying this hero is really good with smokes, especially once you get blink. And then also we were talking about illusion runes. He's really one of the really good illusion rune heroes, because you can just solo push out waves across the map and not have to be around, because they get the spin.
Yeah, spin to win the illusions.
I like to get the blink and a smoke at the same time. You can make a big reveal happen.
A big set play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about Axe, this hero is the 19th most popular hero. I'm looking at Dogebuff in the moment. The win rate's 51%, although, of course, almost all of that win rate will be Axe position 3. And I'm on the guides page of DotAbuff. 5 pages of guides. Not a single support axe there, all just core position 3. I mean, do we think 4-axe is something that will become popular? Or is this just a sort of flash in the pan, it's a bit funky, you can try it? Like, how viable do we think this is? Is it going to suddenly come into some games, or?
Well, I've not seen many pubs play out. I want to catch up on the minor that's happened, but as we spoke about in that patch review, the change given in that movement speed and now enabling this like position 4 kind of role and enabling this lane winning role, I don't see reason for him not to get a bit of limelight.
I feel like his
very speculative, but I don't see why not.
His skills don't feel very strong from a 3 standpoint. So from a 4 standpoint, they feel very good.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like he has a chance. I mean, I don't know how much he's so popular. Maybe it's because they have the naked axe set. Maybe that's why people are really playing it. But
he's always a popular hero, especially like lower MMR. It's a very popular hero.
Culling Blade is pretty strong.
Yeah, that's another.
I mean, I feel like if that's what you're getting from your 4 is Culling Blade, and then like Blink Call, I feel like Blink Call is so much better as a counter initiate as opposed to initiate spell.
Absolutely, that is so true.
And that seems like just so good from a 4 position. And then it's like if you just go Blink, he's online like from a 4.
Yeah,
he doesn't need anything else. You just do that. And if you go in and Blink Call, counter initiate, and die, it's like it's okay. You're a 4, and you provided basically a RP to your
RP
team.
with damage as well. Like RP does no damage. This guy's could even drop heroes with spin and blade mail culling. The point about him being primarily counter initiator, I absolutely agree with. But I would also just make the side comment of he is like you said, you get a smoke. He's the perfect ganker initiator when it's just like picking off one hero. You blink call and you make a kill happen like that. However, in a bigger skirmish or team fight scenario, I really, his value as I'm an initiator is hard to come by. Like you're going to have to, it's just going to be hard and rare to come by. Like the case where that happens would be you've 5-man smoked and he blinks calls one hero because that's all he'll ever do if you're initiating and you like drop a hero, and win a team fight 5v4. Typically what will happen is, like you say, it's going to be a counter initiation. Like the enemy team's going to be jumping in, or there's going to be a fight happening. Heroes start cuddling up, and then bang, he can counter initiate. And it's like that Seb moment. That's exactly what he did, and that's where his value comes from. I think as a 3, he's unreliable as a 3 and waste. I think like priority of gold and XP is wasteful, given he can do that exact same purpose and function in a 4 role.
Also, what you were saying about counter-initiating, it's way more acceptable and way more viable for a position 4 hero to wait around edges of fights, not fully commit until that perfect counter-initiation moment happens, whereas a 3 is way more, if you think about, so I'm thinking things like Earthshaker and Enigma, that are these really popular 4s, you often see them on the perimeters of fights waiting for that. Waiting for it the fight to develop, whereas a position 3, when you've got that extra farm priority, those extra items, you have to sort of get stuck in at the start of fights so it's that getting the most out of your blink call as a counter initiation rather than initiation. It's way more acceptable as a 4. You're more able to wait in a fight, if you know what I mean.
You can when your role is to counter initiate, wait on the skirmishes and wait on the edges and then get involved. It makes, say you've got 10,000 gold, you can nearly guarantee yourself to put all that gold and XP to use and for it to be productive. When I think about an Axe 3, and it's like that Axe game I cried to you about, and he's got all this gold and all this XP, and he then uses it to the purpose of blink calling one hero, and the rest of our teams like can't really get there, and then the rest of the enemy team just ignore him, and it's now he's just might as well just left the game and DC'd, abandoned and quit Dota kind of thing. Like no value is added from that.
Or just like he may as well, he may as well be a 4, and you may as well have a hero that doesn't rely on this pure blink call mechanic as your position 3. It may as well be the position 4, and then you can have a more farmed, more well-rounded, reliable hero in the 3 role that can get stuck into fights in the start and not lose all of this gold value, if you know what I mean, like you were just saying. Yeah.
I think what you say about the 3 needing to get stuck in from the start is really important and really fundamental aspect of the 3, that they, in my eyes, they do need to be doing work start to end of a team fight, where team fight being like a 4v4, 5v5 engagement going over extended period of time. I think if you're a 3, you've got to be making value from the start to the end. And so say I make Bristleback, I mean, he's pepping quills all fight, doing hammer slaps all fight. If you think about a Centaur or a Mars, like the throwing spells, Beastmaster hitting, auras, control, start to end, like always getting stuff done. If I think about an Axe as a 3, I think about it, maybe he can, if he's fortunate, get a dream call and nail one hero. And even that's best case scenario. Once that's finished, he's now just like a walking creep that you can kite with ease, and he's not providing any other utility. And even then, going back to the dream scenario, say he blinks calls someone as this initiation tool, there's so many other defensive tools the enemy team could have that nullify that, like all the save spells, all the item saves, like Ools or Force Staff or swaps or disruptions. Like there's a lot of spells and items that can just nullify that initiation tool of an Axe. So yeah, seeing him as a 3 seems like dead value, but as a 4, counter initiation, etc., I really, really like it, and I'm glad to see Adam get good like wins out of it.
What else does he? I mean, if you think about it, what else does an Axe provide in a team fight other than blink call? Battle hunger is just useless in a team fight for the most part. It's like a good chase spell. That's all. Like, there's so many more impactful 3s. But if you can, out of your 4, if you can get lockdown and damage, and then also the chance to just like, Culling Blade their carry, like that's huge. There's so many times carries get away with very little health. But like, slapping a Naga Siren or something, or killing an elusive like a Slark. I mean, there's some big things you can do.
Even
with the
the
Culling Blade.
So with Culling Blade, and you know how it gives that MS movement speed buff when you hit it, and then also the movement speed buff of the Battle Hunger being cast on an enemy. Even the utility that you provide from those aspects of the spells is really beneficial to your team, and it's like that's the kind of thing a 4 is doing. It's enabling your team, and in these kind of ways, like, oh, you've got better catch now, you've got better disengagement now, just purely from speed. And that's like, these ideas are they're related to that 4 position kind of role, and why not see more of Axe in it? We've also not touched on his ult really, and what's great about it is that you could have certain circumstances where it's omega value. So I mean, like the classic being the dazzle counter. It's there are certain, or the troll, say, or the oracle. There are certain scenarios where it's like a counter spell, if you know what I mean. So there are going to be other scenarios where Axe is of even more value from what his ult does.
You can also chop the courier with it. Pretty cool.
That's a
very
cool
cool.
play.
Yeah.
Very much.
And
worth
then
it.
Apparently if you chop a creep with Battle Hunger, it gives half bonus. So I guess there is a move speed bonus and stuff. So there is a scenario, I guess, where you need the chase and you can chop a creep.
That's a really cool play.
Yeah.
And then also, it is a nuke. So if you don't have a successful chop, you still do a decent chunk of damage.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing, like what you were saying, Marco, about how situationally this Culling Blade becomes this counterspell thing. I think that's a function of the hero as well, that Axe has always been a hero that is situationally really good against certain other heroes, right? He's not...
Yeah.
For the same reason he doesn't do well as a 3, because he's quite unreliable. He's more hit and miss, literally, because he lives and dies by this Blink Call. But in the right kind of game, Blink Call is insanely effective. He's always incredibly good against like your anti-mage, your Broodmother, Morphling, PL. Yeah, Naga Siren, another popular one at the moment that's very good against Terrorblade too. So getting such a strong counter from your position 4 to some of these game-defining position 1s. If you think about an anti-mage and a Broodmother and a Morph and a PL, those 4 heroes are like ultimate position 1s. I mean, I know Brood's a mid, but game-defining, this is the priority number 1 that we need to kill. And when you're getting from your position 4 a toolkit that counters the hero so nicely, situationally, the 4 Axe is going to be unbelievable, like in these games.
And it's also like the heroes you suggest. It's not even that uncommon where that situational tick box occurs. Like a lot of agi carry heroes, particularly if we can get a blade mail second item, he can do major work against. And I mean, most agi heroes he's going to be really strong against. And then there are some of those other ones like Dazzle or whatever, where he's also situationally super good. So yeah, it's not even like he's a really niche pick when you think about that positive to him. Like,
a lot of agi carriers are weak early, and he can take advantage of that. And then he also doesn't care if it's a strength core either, because they're slower and you can trade punches pretty well.
Lane, yeah.
I think he feels really good in most lanes. I can imagine there's some lanes where you feel pretty useless, but you don't first pick Axe, so it's okay.
Yeah, and I think he's good enough in the lane now. Like you're saying, he doesn't care about these strength heroes in the lane. His laning's good enough that he's not a complete disaster if you pick him up before enemy cores and then you find yourself against like a Death Prophet Spectre, in the mid game.
Yeah, and they'll take
like
it
pretty
to
bad
3
news
anyways.
for Axe, but yeah.
That's another thing is the draft. They with these 4s is that they think it's a core or something.
True, very true, yeah.
And the other thing is that you don't take farm, because because you're taking jungle camps that people can't take normally.
Hmm.
It's a good way to secure your farm, but not take anything from anybody.
Yeah, it's really efficient from the team perspective of maximizing your gold that he can farm jungle in the early game and the early mid game. It's really, really valuable.
Yeah. I mean, that's Axe covered pretty well, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell just from the combo we're pretty hype on this
Fucking
Axe
hyped
4.
for more Axe 4.
I like it. It's fun.
I want to see EG
There's-
run it. I really
it
want to
is
see
so
it in a
much-
game.
It is so much fun to just at the best part of the game is like right at the beginning at the rune fight, because you just run at them and they don't know what to do. You just punch them. The second
Yeah.
they try and auto attack you one time, it's like over for them.
Yeah.
Like there was one rune fight where I actually got rid of all of their regen because they only got like 3 tangos, and then like somebody else got some tangos and shared, so they maybe only had 2 tangos and a salve, and it's like I actually got rid of all of it in the rune fight.
And picked up the rune.
Yeah,
I
it
hope.
feels so good.
Yeah.
Would Orb of Venom stop healing salve?
No.
No, it's too low
Yeah.
of a damage.
It's like poison. It's like Veno poison sting, doesn't
but
it?
battle
Stop it.
hunger does. So
Yeah.
you just wait for them to pop it and throw it on there.
Yeah. That reminds me of Cold Snap. It annoys me that Cold Snap stops it. Does
Oh
Cold
my
Snap
God.
do damage? The initial
Yeah,
instance, does it even do damage?
yeah.
It does do a little
Yeah,
bit.
It's
Right,
almost.
okay.
I
Just
hate
enough.
that
Yes, that's fair
spell
enough.
because it's
It's so
casting
long range.
something like 1.1k or something. It's so unbelievable. I don't face invokers mid much because I'm not playing that matchup loads. But oh my god, when I come against it and I don't really remember about how long this range is, you can get it from like tower to tower. Like walking away, I'll get a salve off or a bottle use off, and out of nowhere, get whacked by a snap of cold. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a fucking pet peeve.
Yeah, so that's a good segue to talk about Invoker 4. No, I'm joking. Queen of Pain 4. QoP 4. This is an interesting one. Are you still unbeaten, Adam, with the QoP 4?
I haven't lost with it. I'm much lower on its potential than I am of 4 position X. I will just say that.
We're cranking the hype meter down a little bit for the QoP 4, perhaps.
I feel like Axe 4 is actually good. QoP 4 is much greedier,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
but it can happen.
The QoP 4, in terms of the laning, is it all in on the harass value of Shadow Strike then? Is that pretty much the
Kind of. It's like you have as good of damage and auto attack animation as Windrunner, pretty
Yeah.
much, and that you have this really obnoxious Q spell. So Shadow Strike is really strong. You're so strong at rune fights too. If you look at it like a battle hunger, they're really slow, and you just hit them over and over again while they're trying to run away, and it's low cooldown.
Yeah. Is it always getting maxed? Or you
Yeah, max at 7 or 3 points at 5, and then maybe you need to go more of the scream. But the first 5 levels are pretty much standard 3-1-1.
Yeah, I think QoP's strength, we've got similarities to Axe, like running heroes down, but I think her biggest strength in this kind of 4 role in the lane will come when she hits level 3 and level 4 Shadow Strike. Because if you think about being a carry and you're trying to CS, and you've got a QoP slapping you with a dagger every 4, 6, or 8 seconds, whatever it is, and then just getting 4 right clicks on you, and then just doing that indefinitely, how hard that will stop your farm, your XP, your buy-in consumables, etc. That's when she really, really hurts the enemy team, I think, and can really stall the farm of the enemy carry. And then with a +1, like the Q can get kills for sure as well. And you can blink away and not die, so
Yeah, the
she's got a
blinks.
pretty good kit.
Blink's really fun in lane. You can trade, be really aggressive, and then blink out, heal back up. And the Q is super obnoxious to deal with for either their support or their carry.
I can't really think of any supports that could trade with a QoP. that's maxing the Q.
Yeah, I don't think you could trade.
shows.
You just have to go balls to the walls and kill that bitch. Like, that's the only solution I see. Just get her into the grave, because if you're just going to go tit for tat, she's going to annihilate you with that harass.
Yeah. Another little fun one for the lane is that with the blink, sometimes you can get a little cheeky courier snipe if you blink behind the tower, sort of thing. You see them delivering an item and you just like run, blink behind the tower. It happens mid sometimes as well, but it's always a funny one to think about if you ever see a courier come to the lane.
The pre 3 minute.
Yeah, pre 3 minute, yeah.
Get level 2, get blink, rotate for a chick snipe. If it's pre 3 minutes, it's kind of impossible not to snipe it if you get sight on it and you're like waiting already in the mid lane, say.
Yeah, or even just in your own lane sometimes if there's a little carry that wants his Wraith Band recipe.
I was going to say they want that Wraith Band recipe.
Yeah.
She... so the Q is really big, and then I feel like from a 4 perspective, her ult is so high value. It's like so strong from a 4 as opposed to a 2. Like you can, as a 4 is supposed to be more active and around the map. I mean, and QoP can do that. And like, TP to another lane, come in, Sonic Wave somebody killed them, and it's like that's really nice coming from a 4.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it hurts less as well, given her ult is such a long cooldown. When you're the mid and say you looking to control or tempo the game and output all your damage and whatnot, like onus is a lot on your shoulders, and it's really frustrating when you're playing QoP and you have to wait so long to get your ult back, which is obviously such a big part of your damage. If it's a 4 though, it is less problematic for that to be on cooldown, I feel, because the game's riding less on your shoulders. You're not the mid tempo, etc. You just slap it out when it's up and it's happy days. But
would you not think maybe when you're the 4 you want to have, usually when I think of a 4, I think of a hero that wants to have as much uptime on his spells as possible.
Yeah,
whereas the mids,
do that with the Q.
There's a more downtime sometimes.
But then my issue with the mids downtime is that it's not like QoP's a great farmer where she's like, okay, I can farm whilst ult is down really well. It's like, she's not the best farmer. Like, she's also not the best solo killer. Without
you're not picking QoP mid to farm while your Sonic Wave's off cooldown. So,
whereas the 4 is always going to be this tag team help assisting fights, like enabling a fight or not a fight but a kill to happen, e.g. with her slow or initiation or whatever. So
and she's like you say with the 4-second Shadow Strike cooldown, it's like you can do enough as a 4. It's not you're not waiting on this Sonic Wave. It's more of like what Adam was saying. It's a great bonus where you can
massive
TP in and big Sonic Wave, and it's like, wow, that's not even what you expect from a POS 4. It's just like a bonus that
it's a high
of this spell.
It's huge damage. I mean, it's pure AoE that you don't really expect that type of spell, that amount of bursts that come out of a 4 really to blow up an enemy core.
Kills the courier.
Yeah, it does kill the courier.
There's a trend here.
Yeah, courier killing 4s right now.
You have to be careful.
Actually, 3 of our 4 do it, right? That we are talking about.
Does Mars God's Rebuke it?
I thought so. I thought that kills it.
Probably does. I imagine it does. Yeah. Well, there you go. Poor Spirit Breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. If only you could charge. Marco, were you going to make a point about the...
So I was going to make a point. You have to be careful. Say QoP's being run as a 4. Say in contrast to Axe, where it's got this control capability. QoP doesn't have... Given her ult is this massive damage dealing ult, she doesn't have control. She has slow and good individual lockdown in the slow, but otherwise has nothing else to offer control-wise. So my point is just that it's important that you/your team is aware of, okay, the rest of us need to provide some lockdown, stuns, control. It's not like, Earthshaker would be the polar opposite of a 4 with ultimate lockdown. He's got arguably the best lockdown kit in the game with his stun, chain stun. QoP's the other end of the spectrum with 0, so you have to be just wary of that.
Yeah, and about the downside as well. Scream of Pain is not a good spell for a position 4 QoP.
That's
really.
true. Yeah, very true.
So one of your 4 spells doesn't have much utility.
How my mid games have gone with QoP is that you hold the opposite lane and shove it. You kind of think of it like a techies,
Right.
how they do it. And then, if they come trying to get you, you blink away. So that's how you use Scream, and you like farm in the mid game, and you kind of become a 4th core. Much more farm intensive than the Axe.
Yeah.
Because she does need levels and some items to do really big stuff.
Speaking of items, what item route have you found yourself going down in most of these games, or what do you think's the best item route for this QoP 4? Is it game dependent or
one game at a terrible laning stage where QoP is absolutely trash against Morphlane in lane.
Right, yeah.
Q actually does nothing to him because he just morphs. And I didn't really do anything until I got like a 25-minute Orchid on QoP, and then we just won the game because we had Orchid against Morph and the rest of their team. So that was one game. The super greedy, just basically go like null talisman, brown boots, Orchid, which feels really bad to do.
Yeah.
Another game, I went Veil. I don't like Veil. I kind of forgot that Veil's bad on QoP. Because it's like, it doesn't amp the pure damage from your ulti, and then your Q is so long, and then it's really only amping one spell, which is your Scream, so it's like not actually value.
Yeah,
it does make you tankier.
Who cares about like armor and stats, and armor are not that important on a POS 4
exactly.
really.
So it's like you have Vessel here. I think she's a really good Vessel hero. She could be an Atos hero.
True, yeah.
Like Yules could be okay if you need to. That's just like a classic. It's good like mana regen, good movement speed, good TP canceling. TP canceling is very strong on her.
Yules is honestly amazing controlling team fights.
Yeah.
It's like 3 seconds of someone's taken out completely. Can make huge difference. I'm looking at
Mini Cyclone.
Mini Cyclone. You need to put more value on the Yules pickup.
Yeah. I feel like Orchid's the greediest of all of them, but there's some lineups where it actually just ruins the enemy team. And so if you can get it from a 4 position at an adequate time, that could be like your heaviest impact. But it also means that you have to stuck farming this like 4K item from a 4 position.
Yeah. It seems like a pretty good urn carrier.
Yeah, for sure.
Quite good urn. Good mobility. You usually have an urn on a hero that's got some sort of mobility spell, like an Earth Spirit or a Spirit Breaker or something like that. And QoP's obviously got the blink, so fits quite nicely. Maybe something like a medallion might fit the bill in certain games to enable one of your big right-clicking cores. I don't know. Yeah.
Help with Roche later too.
True, yeah, Roche too. Funnily enough, shout out to Vici Gaming's Yang, because he's the 7th in terms of the Dota Buff hero rankings. He's rank 7 for Axe and rank 1 for Queen of Pain. So there you go. We should have had him on as a guest for this episode, maybe.
Oh, I missed
guest
that.
Vici Yang with guest translator as well.
We could talk about his hands as well.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about his hands. Yeah, that would be weird. We invite him on for an episode of the pod. He thinks he's talking about Queen of Pain, and then we're like, "So, Yang, what moisturizer do you use? How do you get those hands so soft?" Yeah. Next hero on the agenda, I'm sure the listeners have just been had their days brighten up by a bit of drums that I'll be adding in. So post drums Spirit Breaker section, SB4, I really like this hero just because he's fun, because you just charge at people. So that's why he's one of this list. He's not really a funky 4 in the sense that his normal position is a 4, but I just feel like this hero is has been such a bad hero for quite a long time. I think he's coming back a bit. He's seeing some play. He's seen some play at the minor, and he saw some play at Birmingham as well. I think Crit played a Spirit Breaker in one of the final games. He's one of the pros that has stuck with Spirit Breaker in his hero pool for a while. So the Space Cow as the 4. In terms of starting items, I'll just start off with a question, because this is something I always think about: is this a Stout Shield hero to start with, do you think? Like, when you're getting the Orb of Venom, or are you...
I haven't
What's
been
your
getting
starting items?
I have not been getting Orb of Venom.
You just ignore it. Yeah,
I think it's a Stout Shield hero. For sure. And then just some mango / tangos and a salve is usually what I go. But I think maybe, I guess you could do Stout Shield, Tango, and then Uve if you want to do the same thing as the Axe. Because really the strength of the hero is that you're using your TPs to go home and regen, and then you just charge back out the lane. So you don't really need as much regen.
Yeah, that's a true point, actually, yeah. It's worth mentioning, this hero has in Divine Plus, 55% win rate this week. That's high. I mean, this hero is pretty legit. I was shocked, to be fair, when I found that out. I thought it would be way lower. But this hero's been doing bits in higher more games, in the top 10.
I think he's pretty strong in certain games. The reason why I started to play him was for my RD2L team. And I just think with the way our team has been going, that I can't play a 4 that needs any amount of gold. I can't be greedy at all. And Spirit Breaker is kind of the opposite of QoP, and then even less gold intensive than Axe. Like, you have everything you need from level 2, and you just run at people.
I mean, Poppy runs a Spirit Breaker, which indicates how little gold this guy can sometimes need, like very little. Yeah,
you see him as a 5. You do see him pop up as a 5 from time to time. Speaking of level 2, I mean, there's a question for Adam and Marco, like, is it always charge level 1 and bash level 2, or... Because I feel like that's the standard. Do you ever get bash level 1 for those room skirmishes where there's going to be a lot of clicks going back and forth, or is charge just too good?
So I think I showed you that Robot Vice
you did.
Heavily commentated Spirit Breaker game, and he said he almost always goes bash level 1.
Bash level 1, yeah, I remember.
But then he needed to go just to save his teammate that game. He got the charge level 1. The charge is nice because it's guaranteed stun, whereas bash is, you got to roll that 17%. But I feel like on rune fights you're so tanky between your, like, you have 800 HP or something and your armor and stout shield that you can just trade right clicks and try and bash because it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, 800 HP, 5 armor at level 1. That's really, really tanky. You can happily slap faces for days.
Yeah, that's one of the points that Robot Vice was making in the guide that Adam showed me. This hero is so tanky. I mean, he just doesn't take clicks. You can, especially if you're building him with a stout shield, I mean, you can just stand in a wave and, like, right-clicking enemies, and the creeps don't even really bother him. 5 armor and a stout, like, it's fine. So yeah, it's definitely worth, like, quite forgiving hero in that sense. Is Bulldoze always being ignored? Are you always going 4, not 4, with obviously points in the ult?
Oh no, I definitely get points in the
Bulldoze.
Bulldoze, yeah.
There's a massive value point to be had in level 1, giving you 34% status resistance bonus just in level 1 Bulldoze.
And the move speed.
Yeah, I mean, do you care about status resistance or status resistance as a 4 running around? I mean, I don't know. You got to explain to me. Explain to me how you use bulldoze. Is it just for the move speed bonus or?
I mean, it makes your charge faster. You can use it while you're charging, and it doesn't cancel the charge. And then, cool. So it makes your charge faster, which also makes your bash do more damage because it's based off your move speed, and you're guaranteed a bash off of the Q, the charge.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that the value point in level 1 bulldoze is so high, and then what are you foregoing? Okay, I don't get level 2 or 3 greater bash. Like, the marginal value of that next level in greater bash is really pretty minimal. So
I've been going like at level 8, like 4, 1, 2, 1, something like that, because your charge gets faster with each level of your Q.
Right.
And the stun goes up as well with.
Yeah.
So are you finding this value? Do you think you put the value point in the bulldoze at 3, or at you said you put it in at like where are you sliding
usually
in?
4.
4, yeah.
4. Yeah, 4 or 5.
And that's with 2 points in the bash.
Yeah, 2, 1, 2. If you were getting
at 4, yeah.
No, 2 in the charge.
Yeah, if I get it at 4, it's 2, 1, 1. If I get it at 5, it's 2, 1, 2.
Interesting. It's interesting this conversation about skill build. I'm looking at the guides for Spirit Breaker, and there's a massive range of difference. I mean, really, every single on this first page, there's 6 different skill builds, and they're all different at level 6. I mean, I suppose that's good. That can only be a good thing, right? For a hero to have this much choice, it gives them a bit of flexibility in the lane.
Yeah, that's interesting. Personally, I would always have 3 in charge and 1 in the other 2 by 5. I think that's what I would do it as. But I can see 2, 1, 2 being fine as well. And then, are there any builds that you're seeing where they are not, that they're leaving 1 point only in charge? Is that ever happening?
Yeah, so the first build is charge, bash, bulldoze, bash, ult, bash, charge, and then coming back with all those points.
I've thought about that before, whether what's more value, maxing greater bash or maxing the stun.
I guess it is a lot of damage coming on your charge if you max the bash, but it feels slow. It feels really slow.
There's another one that's, just to flip it over as well, there's another one that is charge, bash, charge, bulldoze, charge, ult, charge, bulldoze, and then doing the bash at the end. Interestingly, one of these builds on the roaming support is charge, bash, bulldoze, ult, bulldoze, and then bash points and then charge points. Leaving the charge till the end and maxing the bulldoze after getting
maxing bulldoze definitely has to be very game dependent.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a reason for that. Yeah.
How much status resistance is it at max?
70%.
70.
Yeah, if you got if you ever got doomed, like the doom that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
But 70% status resistance against something like that is pretty big.
Well, you have to cast it, so last 8 seconds to be fair, so the doom could easily fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah, it could mess up. But yeah, there's all sorts of varies. I'd say the most common one from what I've seen is maxing the bash. But then also this bulldoze point is coming at level 3 or level 4 in all of them. So all of them. Oh no, okay. So there's one where it's got at level 5, but it's always being got. So yeah,
I always felt that maxing bash wasn't that value because to me the increase in damage you get from it is negligible in my eyes. Like 6% movement speed as damage increase, like 6% of movement speed now damage. That's what, like, say 1% is 3.5. 1% is 3%.
6% out of
5 is like
300 is 50. No, that's not right.
No,
we cut that
it's
out.
Like 18.
18.
So yeah, like if you have 350 movement speed, this incremental increase in greater bash damage is like 20 to 30 or something. So
yeah, but you're coming in at 1,000.
So okay. Okay, so that's where the value's coming from when you hit via charge. And you
Yeah,
charge
if you
it
hit
like 1,000.
with your charge and you pop bulldoze, you're moving at about 1,000 and something.
Okay, so that's where the value comes in. Then you get stun duration, which is really
I think also
impacting your ult. Okay, so it is back to being a kind of difficult decision.
Yeah, I guess it's the guaranteed nature of it versus the charge, which just gives you a bit longer stun, which the Greater Bash does anyway. But obviously the move speed bonus and I don't know. It's one to think about. Lots of variety.
What he does in the game is he just goes around the map. He can kill mid pretty good. You can charge from trees. It's really strong to be able to TP back and then charge back out. Or to like TP, maybe you charge bottom, do some things, go into the trees, TP to the other side lane, and then charge from those trees. And they don't know that you're there.
He can kill pretty much anywhere. I mean, he's one of the best kill supports. Oftentimes, there's always going to be a lane where you can do some damage. When the lanes break up, at least for the supports, you're going to have a lot of freedom to fly about.
Casual charge harass. It's so nice to charge from behind the tier 1 middle on the enemy lane. Yeah. And then you're like pushing them closer to the opposite.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so his map and somewhat pseudo global mobility is one of his biggest strengths. So and when even early game, you can be charging across lanes, or you can be TPing home and charging to a different lane. It means you can have presence in not just one lane, where someone like Axe, say, is limited to just one lane. Barra can be very much global. So I think the majority of his value, a big chunk of his value comes from that aspect. Also, his stuns, so the charge and his ult being able to go through magic immunity, right? Both of them.
Yes, yeah.
Is humongous.
Yeah, value. It's massive. Yeah, I mean, the ult's a great spell. BKB piercing, stun.
Yeah. I mean, you can get fogged. And I think if they pop magic immunity during a cast, you have to recast. But
Oh, really? That's interesting.
I think that was that way when I was against a lifestealer. Might have just been getting fogged.
Well, the interesting thing about his ult is that if you cast it on someone and they then go in the fog, your ult stays on them. So you just need to do that first initial cast, and then even if you lose vision of them, you will still hit them with the ult.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I know that that's the case for the range. So if you cast your ult on someone and then they get out of the range of your ult, it still casts. Because the cast range only applies for the initial cast.
But it's also vision.
Oh, okay. Interesting. That vision's an interesting point for the Q as well. I mean, that's a really important part of this hero versus guys like Clinks and like Bounty Hunter and stuff.
So just good against Slark. Just heroes where you can coordinate ganks from your fountain and they think they can get away, but then you show up and you're providing vision the entire time. Really good. Really
and
good.
It makes me think of those situations where one team has just lost a team fight against the Spirit Breaker team. And so they will quickly get out, they'll TP back, and then before they get pushed, some of their heroes will frantically try and de-push a bit. And it's so dangerous to do that against a Spirit Breaker. If you're on the back foot and this hero gets vision of you, the whole team can hunt you down because they know exactly where you are because you've got the little bull sign, that strange sign thing over your head.
Also strong with Bloodseeker because if someone's low, he gives vision and then you can get a charge.
He's really cool with Lifestealer as well in terms of synergy bombs.
Very strong as an infest carrier, and really strong as a dust carrier too, because you're just going on top of somebody and then you can pop the dust.
Definitely.
Really strong against invis heroes.
Got the Darkseer synergy as well. Get surged while you charge for that massive damage. One-shot people with charge.
I didn't realize his Axe reduced his cooldown that much as well. So his cooldown...
It's bad, though.
So his ult cooldown, just to say his first, is 180-60 seconds. So 100 is a long time at level 1. 80 is still quite long at 2. But then if you have Aghanims, it's 20 seconds. And to have a 20-second cooldown on his BKB piercing stun ult, it's pretty tasty.
That's not bad.
In the right game.
And does it also do AoE, right?
Yeah, AoE Greater Bash. Cast range also goes up.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really expensive item.
Oh, yeah.
For a Spirit Breaker. And then he really doesn't have a lot of mana either. So...
Also, he doesn't have a lot of gold, like the hero doesn't farm at all.
Absolutely
but also,
none.
when you get gold on Spirit Breaker, this hero actually is so good with items. If you can get like a halberd on this guy, or like even a pipe or a crimson or a vessel.
Vessel's really strong.
Or even like, like super late game, you pick up a BKB yourself, or you pick up a heart when it's like very late. The hero is actually so good with items. Because of the nature of the hero, right? It's an in-your-face strength carry almost, but if you have items, you can go that route. So I think if you did somehow get 4k gold on a Spirit Breaker, you can probably find better things to do with it than the Ags.
Yeah,
even though it does reduce the cooldowns by 2/3 is sliced off the cooldowns pretty strong in a vacuum.
Yeah, it's just as the Ags drop from Rosh, and then in a situational game, it could be pretty
true.
sick.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, I'd definitely
generally been going like double bracer treads.
Yeah.
Because that makes you 1800 health or something, and then you get something like an urn, Spirit Vessel, maybe a Shadow Blade, more than likely like a Spirit Vessel BKB. I mean, those are I'm usually finishing games with less than 10k net worth, so it's not.
You can pick up a Vlads as well. You can find a Vlads on the guy as well.
Drums is good. Vessel's really good because it also gives move speed, so it kind of synergizes.
Yeah. Casual Buckler.
Casual what?
Casual Buckler.
Buckler, yeah.
It is hard to come across farm on this guy. He doesn't hit creeps very well.
None of his talents give him any ability to farm any faster. None of his kit
Level 15
lets you.
Damage.
Well, you
Plus
get
10.
you get the regen. I feel like
you get night vision. You can see the camps quicker.
Charge them faster.
I mean, honestly, his talents are some of the worst in the game. Like they're actually just trash, except for level 25, 800 health for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you
right.
mentioned Bracer Treads. I mean, this hero is so good with just being chunky. Reminds me sometimes of when you come up against a Tusk and they're randomly just insanely tanky and you click on them and they've got like 2 braces and treads. On these strength position 4s, you can actually do so much work with just how tanky you get off these braces. So yeah, it's a common one to see on the Spirit Breaker.
No one really wants to trade hits with you because you're just going to eventually roll a 17% and then pop them twice. I mean, you have some of the best TP canceling in the game. You have 3 spells that do it. 2 of them guaranteed. Yeah.
In pubs as well, being naturally so tanky, so much HP, and therefore being hard to kill, even just ganks, rotations, enemy positions 1 to 5, like just being hard to kill is so value, I feel, in pubs. Like,
yeah.
People won't have incentive to try and kill you because they know it's going to be so hard. Even if they do try and kill you, like you just take so much time and effort that you, as say, a position 4 hero, I mean, it's hard for them to stop you getting all your spells off. Then if you're soaking a million spells, you're happy days. Like, yeah.
Yep.
It's, really just being fat is so good.
Should we move on to Mars?
Yeah.
So, final hero to talk about, the 4/4 that we'll discuss on this ep, Mars.
Instead of drums, you're going to go da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Wow. You've really put the editing job on me there. I feel like I've got to do it now. But I'm going to say that it's for copyright reasons, but it's probably just because I can't be bothered to, or I can't work out how to do it. But yeah,
just get the original song it was based off of.
Yeah. All right, I'll do it. If the
Mars.
listeners,
It's
by the
called
time they're
Mars.
listening.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's from. But you kind of want Mars to say it, don't you? It's the one everyone knows. Well, we'll see. We'll see. The listeners will know by the time they're hearing this weird discussion, whether or not I've delivered on the drum front or not. We'll see. But Mars position 4, a bit more established as a 4 than Axe and QoP. Probably.
Crit has at least played it at a major, so it's got some games on it.
And also FY likes a Mars 4 as well. Some I've seen him play it a couple of times in LGD games. I mean, this is kind of interesting because I've never seen it in a pub run as a 4. I suppose we should talk about it in the same direction as we have with these others, talking about sort of your starting items and stuff. Adam, how many games of Mars have you had?
I've played it 3 times as a 4, I think. I'm 1 and 2. And I think I'm like either 1 and 6 or 1 and 7 as a Mars as a whole. So I just think I'm bad on the hero. But man, that one game where I played it, it felt so good. It felt so strong. Yeah. And that was before I went and watched or like looked at Crit's build. Because I was like, man, this hero has mana problems. I'll get mana boots. And he still goes phase boots. And I was just like, I am really confused about how he could ever cast any spells. Because there were times I would TP in to counter a fight and TP in throughout my, arena. And then I'd have no mana to cast anything else. It's like, I've just cast Kinetic Field for 200 mana on a huge cooldown. But his spells, super strong.
Yeah. Do you go... The laning wise, is it a similar story to the Spirit Breaker and the Axe? These meaty blokes just stout shield and regen and just sort of try and get stuck in as best you can, or are you leaning more on being sneaky and getting some sneaky spears out, or how do the lanes usually play out?
I feel like you have really strong auto attack. You can't trade as well because you don't have your bulwark. And I'm pretty sure from the build I saw that he doesn't even like skill it.
Right. Do you want the W
much
then?
later? Yeah, the W. Like you want a lot in the W, I think, to make your spear or like your arenas even better. Because your crit scales pretty well with the extra points. I feel like you really good with a setup stun, obviously. If you can follow up the spear, it's a ton of damage in lane between your 2 spells and somebody else. Or just like you can get spears just by, seeing what creature they're about to hit, with they come up to a wave and hit something, you can just spear them.
Yeah. I don't know what your thoughts are, Marco, but I was thinking, comparing this to like the Axe, on the one hand, you could think similar to the Axe, well, a lot of Mars's value is out of this Arena of Blood spear thing. You may as well have that coming from your 4 rather than your 3, but then when you're moving the Axe, when you're moving the Mars down from the 4 to the 3, you're a lot less tanky, your W's not going to be doing as much damage, probably going to have a little bit less level, so you'll probably be less tanky because you won't have points in the bullock yet, it's an interesting conundrum fitting the Mars into the 4. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I've never played it as a 4. I've only ever played it as a 3. When I think about it as a 4, I think he's very different to the likes of Barra and Axe because I think he's very much relying on his spells, but really his spear. And I think he's going to be consuming mangoes, if anything. And he's got a nice right-click animation, but I don't think he's a noteworthy right-click trader. Like his armor's low, it's only 2. His right-click damage isn't anything crazy.
He's at least pseudo-ranged. Like, that's about...
that's like a little bit helpful, but I think he really is reliant on his Q to add value. And I think in a team like EG, very aggressive, very like good skilled players, I think he's very, very reliant on his synergy and coordination with allies in terms of making kills happen through the use of Q, like pushing heroes back, getting the long duration stun off, collapsing on kills, whatever. In contrast to say just pub scene, I would feel less comfortable him being in the 4 in terms of how reliable that hero is in that position to get work done. I think it is a bit harder to execute. And then, when you think about the merits of the guy as a 3, I think he's way better than Axe because he's got a big ult which can do big control. Obviously, just holding all these heroes in one place. And then he's also got consistent, reliable damage output with his W, which you can scale well through items. And then he can like build tanky a bit as well because he's going to be in like front line, hitting, doing stuff all fight.
He scales so hard with damage.
Yeah, he does. So as a 4, it's like, is this guy really the best 4? I do think with the right team and skills and synergy, he can be made to work. And obviously, e.g., running him as a 4 in the grand finals of a major, it wasn't a major, it was just tournament, ESL Birmingham. It has to obviously have value there. And it does. And his ult, what makes him maybe more relatively better than Axe in one way is that consistency of his ultimate being you're always going to land a big ult in a big team fight, and you'll 90% of the time land a big spear on his ult, which will be a big lockdown of stun and provide damage. So his skill set will always be reliably used, so that makes him a useful 4. But I think he's harder to execute in the early game. He's like okay at rotations, like a TP rotation could work, but I think he's just harder because he's more reliant on like combos being pulled off or kills being executed correctly, and if they don't, I think he's gonna struggle because he really needs his levels and probably needs gold. Definitely needs gold more than Barra.
He needs gold to do position 3 things. So like when I think of a position 3 Axe with gold, it takes him out of the realms of he's just relying on his ult and his spear to CC a hero, to stun a hero. That's like what his role is, to get these big control, big stun. When he's a 3 and he has enough gold, he has really pretty good strength gain as well. So he becomes tanky, and when the ult's not up, when the spear's not up, he's still able to just like man fight in these team fights. Whereas a position 4 Axe, like, they're not going to have the gold sufficient to get them to a place where they're a hero, outside of their spear and their ult. So I think that's the downside of the Axe 4, the way I would see it.
Having said that, I agree with your point. Maybe my point, he perhaps only needs a soul ring actually to be sufficient as a role 4 because he's just throwing out spells and that.
Crit brought out a lot of clarities is what he did. Because I guess you need... So when I went mana boots, right? So I could have mana to cast my spells. Then you were really slow, and it was really hard to get good arenas off because of how slow you were. So then phase boots at least gives you move speed and then lets you reposition pretty well. But then you have no mana. And he never went soul ring.
That's interesting, not getting soul ring.
So he would go clarities. And I guess wand is good. And he also really prioritized getting Blink, like, above all else, because Blink lets you position, like, really sick arenas.
Yeah, I think, actually...
And spears, too.
It's, spears, like, guaranteeing you can blink and just spear instantly someone to a tree because you just blink next to them and spear. He then becomes a little bit like an Earthshaker where he's major reliant on the blink, but then when he gets it, his individual lockdown now becomes crazy good because you could push a hero back, reposition them, stun them for 3 seconds, guarantee a kill kind of thing. His farm capability is not too bad. Again, I really like Soul Ring because you can pop it, you can pop your spells to farm a camp or nuke a creep wave.
It feels a bit... Yeah, the thing, I guess you don't want a 770 gold for a Soul Ring. Feels a bit grim on your 4, especially when they want this blink so much.
I don't think it's that... I guess you could see it as grim because you might say, he needs to have phase, maybe even a windlace for his mobility issues. Like, it's a necessity. And then to go, let's now throw in a Soul Ring before you then get the blink. Maybe that is a bit too slow paced in terms of blink pickup. Like an Earthshaker, often you'll see Brown Boots blink or Tranks blink. So yeah, maybe that you're right, and that Soaring's a bit too much. It's hard to say. I've not had experience.
Hard to say, yeah.
But his spells, super high impact. I mean, that spear is disgusting. Just the spear is disgusting.
Don't even need to latch sometimes. Just throw them towards your team.
Yeah, that is what. So he's super like gold reliant, right? But he farms so fast. He blows up waves with 2 spells. I mean, he can't sustain that all the time, but you know, he can shove waves.
He can, yeah, it's certainly true. He does have some farm capability. Anything else to touch on the Mars 4?
Well, when level 20, he gets the stun talent, and it's even longer stun, right? He gets to be really big lockdown.
Yeah, and in terms of looking towards that, you're saying level 20 and later in the game, item-wise, is it post-blink? Is it sort of just, what does my team need? It doesn't seem to me there's any core items after the blink, or is it that you just go the core items that the 3 Mars would go? You want to look towards getting the BKB, the Vlad's, Deso sort of thing? Or is it different for a 4 and you maybe go more towards Crimson-y, Pipey sort of territory, or game dependent?
I've seen Crit do Crimson-y things. Vlad's goes along with Crimson-y. It also gives damage, so it kind of fills both roles.
And also it gives that, you can like lifesteal on a creep wave with your God's Rebuke.
So
it's
good.
Pretty nice. Yeah. I guess it's game dependent, I suppose. You probably won't have the luxury of going like Deso BKB after your blink. It's probably a bit too luxurious for a position 4 maybe, so you'd be more likely to get that Crimson with decent build up with a buckler and like your vanguards and stuff like that. Pipe even build up's quite nice. I don't know. But like you say, blink is really the item that enables you to get stuff done. Not just for your Q, not just for your ult, but also for your Q as well. It sort of gives the hero so much.
It's hard to I kept trying to want to do like blink, you treat it like a Magnus skewer, right? You blink behind and then spear someone, but your turn rate is actually pretty bad as Mars. Really hard to pull that off.
They nerf the sort of spear model, as it were, so it's a little bit harder to catch people. It always surprises me that when you see Mars in pro games, they do miss spears sometimes. I mean,
that's why I was missing all mine, because of that latch change. Totally.
Yeah.
Not because I'm just awful.
Yeah, of course.
Skill shots.
Yeah, of course. How do you feel about Mars 4 overall? I mean, for both of you, if you had to rank the 4 heroes we've talked about today in how good they are as a 4, where do you think they fall?
I'm honestly keen to say Axe 1.
Yeah, we're all on the Axe train. I'm definitely. Yeah.
Then I'd say Barra, then Mars, then QoP.
I think Axe and Spirit Breaker are kind of in a tier above the other 2. Right. I do think Mars has merits if you have enough setup / team composition to allow a 4 to farm a little bit and be a little bit more greedy.
Interesting. I'm just interested in how we feel about the heroes. Axe and Spirit Breaker, are they, if we're talking about an S tier position 4, maybe like a Nyx Assassin, are they an A tier 4, like the next tier down? And then
I think
QoP and
Spirit Breaker is A tier. I think he can fit in any lineup, kind of. And he's not going to take a lot from the other. You can probably first pick it, and it's not like
you probably can.
How do you counter pick? I mean, I guess you can. I don't know how you would counter pick a Spirit Breaker.
You only counter pick Spirit Breaker by not picking heroes that Spirit Breaker counters. Do you know what I mean? It's like the only thing you do is like, I won't pick Clinks, like I won't pick Slark. Maybe you can't.
It's not necessarily like, okay, if they pick heroes with a Death Ball, that's fine. It's more things for you to charge through and give a lot of lockdown from that sense. So I feel like Spirit Breaker is a pretty safe pick most of the time. Actually, I think you want to see at least a support before you would pick it.
I do think when I think of Mars 4, I see one of his biggest downsides in that I think he would be very reliant on his team composition to work well and synergize well with him acting as a 4 role, and also then playstyle to go with that as well. So altogether, I feel like it's one of the hardest to execute in like a pub setting.
And also,
even if you had the right setup, Hot Mars can be hard to execute. I mean, landing that spear, landing the right kind of ults is also not super straightforward. Whereas someone like Spirit Breaker, even Axe to an extent, much more straightforward.
You're not going to get that beautiful Mars Willow combo because Willow's usually a 4. So only room for one position 4. There you go. So that brings us to the end of EP 29. Thanks a lot to Marco and Adam for joining us. Talking about these fun 4s. I believe we'll be back on Tuesday, but I don't know when the EP will be released. But we're planning a pretty big EP, how to play mid. I mean, that's a exciting EP right there. That's going to get you 10k of mine instantly just from tuning in.
That's for episode 20. That's for episode 30.
Episode 30, yeah.
That's a huge one.
Got to bring it large for these decade episodes.
We need Marco to play a little bit of mid then.
Yeah.
Before we record.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Stands the mid of the stack now.
I can at least talk a little bit about Alk. I play a lot of Alk mid. Alk and Medusa.
Yeah. Well, that's good because they're 2 heroes that I don't care to touch, so we'll have all our bases covered.
Yeah.
Marco will come in with a bit of puck, a bit of QoP. We've got it all down.
Yeah, I apparently play the AFK Rice heroes, and Marco plays the tempo controllers. So there you go.
Yeah, well, yeah. So yeah, make sure you join us for that episode then. But from us here at New Meta, for iteration 29, we are done.
Big G's. Big G's.
We'll see you next time.